Hello everyone and welcome to Beginner's Code, a place for you to learn with me as I dive deeper into the coding world. Before I start, this video is brought to you by SiteGround. If you're looking for a hosting service that is fast, reliable and has great customer service, please do check out the link in the description below. This is an affiliate link, so if you do end up being a SiteGround customer through my link, I will receive a little and this will be extremely beneficial for the channel. Or if you're wanting to learn more about Python, then make sure you check out my website, Instagram or GitHub for projects. The links for these will all be in the descriptions below, so please do check them out. Also, don't forget to subscribe to see more videos from me as I teach you through the basics. Today we will be looking at while loops and how they can be used to keep programs active while a condition is true. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we'll just have a little chat about while loops, and with a while loop it basically works the same way as an if statement with the condition. So what we'll have is while and then a condition. So we could have, for example, just while true, and we know that with conditions they have to either return a true or a false boolean. So while true also works, or while false doesn't. So we could have while false is double equal to false. So while false is double equal to false, and that would work because that returns a true. However, while false on its own will not. So what we'll do is while true, and then we will have some code. So do something. We can also then pass in an else statement at the end. So once this while loop has become false, or while this condition has been met, we will then use the else statement to print or do something else. So now if I was to make a variable called x and just pass it the value of 0, and then I did while x is less than 10, I can then print an f string that says x is currently, and just pass in the value of x. And now we would need to increment x by 1. And this is because otherwise x will not be changed. So x will be 0 and it will constantly stay less than 10. And now if I was to save this and then run it, you'll see down here it has printed x is currently 0, 1, 2, all the way through to 9. So what it's basically doing is it's taking 0, it's checking here that 0 is less than 10, and then it's printing what the value of x is, and then it is incrementing 0, or the value of x, by 1. So then back up to here, x is 1, it will check that 1 is less than 10, it will print 1, and it will add 1. So then 2 is less than 10, print 2, add 1. So now once this is done, we can pass in an else statement that will do something else. So for now I will just print done, and if I run this, you'll see at the very end the last thing that's printed is done, and that's because this condition was met. So then the else statement will print, or the code underneath the else statement will run. Now there are two key words that are inherently used with while loops, and one is continue, and continue basically just goes to the top of the current loop that you're in. So if I was to do the same, just had x is equal to 0, and while x is less than 10, we can print x is, and then just pass in the value of x. And then if I increment x by 1 here, and then do if x is double equal to 3. So if x is 3, which it will only be once during this loop, then we will print x is now 3. And then else we will continue. So for every time x is not 3, we will just continue, but when x is 3, we will print x is now 3. So what you see now is for every single number, you just get the value of what the number is returned. But for when x is 3, you get x is now 3, and then underneath you get x is 3. And that's because x became 3, and then it printed x is now 3, and then it went back up to the top, and then it checked 3 was less than 10, and it printed x is 3, and then it added 1 to 3 to make 4, and 4 isn't the same as 3, so it went to the else statement and it continued back to the top. Now we can do the same but with a break statement. Well, the break actually comes out of the closest loop that you're in. So what we could do here is pass in break for the x equals 3. And then if I just save this and run, if I say, so once this is run, x is 0, x is 1, x is 2, x is now 3. And because x is now 3, we have broken out of this while loop and it doesn't return anything after. So the break statement can be used regardless of whether or not you have a condition up here. The break is just an easy way to break out of a while loop if you know for sure that this break statement will run at some point. Otherwise, it will cause an infinite loop. Now, an infinite loop can be quite detrimental depending on what computer you're on. If it's a very, very old one with not much processing power, then you could eventually cause your computer to crash. But I will just show you, if I make x is true and then while x, so this is basically saying while true, we will just print true. And if I save this and run, down here you see that true just continues to run, and it will continue and continue and continue until you Control-C out of the loop. So you actually have to force the program to break, otherwise it will just continue running. So now we know about continue, break and infinite loops. I'm just going to show you a couple of examples. So the first one is using user input. So what I'll do is create a variable called prompt, and I will just print a string saying tell me something, and then I will reassign prompt to a string that says enter quit to end. And now I will create a message variable that holds an empty string, and while message is not equal to quit, I will now reassign the message variable equal to the input of prompt. So we are using the input function here to ask the user to enter something or to tell the program something, but if they enter the string quit, then it will be assigned to this message variable and it will become true and it will quit out of the while loop. So now we can just print the message, and if I save that and run, you'll see down here enter quit to end. But if I was to say hello, then we get this back. If I was to say yes, we get yes back. If I was to say mouse, we get mouse back. But if I type quit, it ends the program. Now we can also, as I've said, we can also use true, and this actually acts as kind of like using a flag. So we can actually use a flag by assigning a variable to a Boolean. And this time it will have to be true to start with, unless we were going to use a comparison operator. But while running, so while true, we can have a new variable called message, which is assigned to input, that just says, please enter a message, type quit to end. And then if we had an if statement that compared the message that has just been entered by a user to the string of quit, we can then change this variable here, this running variable, and we can make that false. And then else we can just print the message. So if the user has entered the string quit, this running variable will become false and the while loop will end. However, if they don't enter the string quit, then we will just be returning whatever they have printed. So enter a message, hello world, and we get hello world back. Enter a message, paper, and we get that back, water, and we get that back, and then if I quit, it ends the program. Now, we can also use the break keyword in an if statement, and we can also use methods on a specific variable while in the if statement. So if I was to create a variable called place and just assigned it to a string that said, where would you like to go? And then type home to end. And then if I did while true and then reassigned the place variable that we had up there to user input that took in the place string. So this will just ask the user to input where they would like to go, and if they were to type in home, then it will end. And we can use that, we can check that by using an if statement. So if place is double equal to home, we will use the break keyword, and then else we will print I've never been to place.title. And if I were to run this, then we get down here, where would you like to go? Japan. I've never been to Japan. And then I can put in USA. I've never been to USA. And then if I type in home, it ends the program. But for now, the last one that we will just go over is we can also use a while loop to affect things like lists and other data types. So if I create a variable called cars that just holds a different set of cars, so the first one will be Volvo, the second will be BMW, the third will be Nissan, then we will do BMW again, then Audi, and then Tesla, and we'll have BMW again at the end. So now if I print cars and just run this, then you'll get that list back down here. But now if I was to do while BMW and then use the in keyword and put the list of cars that we have, so the car variable or cars variable, and then I can do cars.remove and pass in BMW. And then now we can print outside of the loop cars. So what this is going to do is it's going to look through this list and it's going to see if BMW is in it. And if it is, then we will remove BMW from the list. And then it will go back through and it will keep doing it until there are no BMWs left in the list. So what we should get back is Volvo, Nissan, Audi, Tesla, and that should be it. So if I save this and run, we get the first list, which is Volvo, BMW, Nissan, BMW, Audi, Tesla, BMW. And then the one underneath is Volvo, Nissan, Audi, and Tesla. That's all for today's video. Hopefully this has helped you with your understanding of while loops and how they can be used to keep your programs running until a condition has been met. If there's anything you'd like me to cover further, please don't hesitate in reaching out to me by dropping a comment below on Instagram or through my website. Stay tuned, as in my next video I will be going over some useful operators that we can use in Python. If you liked what we've been through today and you want to learn more, please drop a like and subscribe to my channel to keep up to date. Thank you and see you next time.